Time to put on my clean shop shirt. Ta-da! Hey everyone, it's Bill here in the prop shop and welcome to another episode. Today we are diving deeper into the foam fabrication technique that you and I both love. If you remember last week, we talked about making foam ridges. If you haven't already, definitely go check that one out. This week, I want to talk about making bevels on your foam armor and prop creations. What are bevels, you say? Oh, those are those really cool angled edges and corners and stuff that are littered all over your sci-fi prop gun masterpieces. For example, here is a fusion rifle made by my pal Will over at WM Armory, and you can see it's got those angled bits all over it. Also, if you check out my Shaq's torso, he's got that big old bevel across his torso from nipple to nipple for some reason. So those are some examples, but how do you do it? How do you make those out of EVA foam? Well, I'm here to tell you a whole bunch of techniques on how you can replicate those details. The first and simplest method is just using a really sharp knife. If you're making a straight cut piece of cake, just use a metal ruler and follow it all the way through. If you sort of set the angle as you're about to cut it and hold that angle consistently all the way through your cut, then you can get a nice clean bevel on your foam. If you need to make some sort of a curved cut, that's a little bit trickier. You do have to hold the angle the entire time you cut through the foam. This is where practice is going to help you out a lot. The more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Now, if you want to start challenging yourself and getting a little more technical with your bevels, you need to get yourself a rotary tool, a Dremel, or in my case, I have this cool Craftsman one. They all do the same thing. They spin little bits really fast. You can start off by planning where you want your bevel to go. I like to draw a couple lines along the edge, both on the top and side, so I know where that bevel is going to be. Then, using that rotary tool, you just remove the offending material. Everything that's not your final piece can go right away. This is, again, something that takes a lot of practice at getting good at. Because that drum is round, it will sometimes like to dig in, leaving a little divot that you don't want. So go slowly and practice a lot on some scrap material. Now you can combine these techniques using a nice sharp knife and using your Dremel to get even more advanced looking shapes. Using that knife to get any sort of sharp angled edges cut in, and then using your Dremel or rotary tool to remove all of the rest of the material. I also like to experiment with all the different types of bits that come with rotary tools. For example, I've got this grinding bit that I've had for a very long time, so it's kind of worn down. However, it leaves a very smooth finish when I use it on foam, so I like to use it right at the end when I'm done with my bevel to sort of polish up that finished look. If you're really looking to up your game, then consider getting yourself some power tools, some big ones, some saws. For example, the scroll saw has a bed that can tilt, so you can set it to whatever angle you want and then make all your cuts knowing full well that they will all be the same angle. This is especially handy if you have any curved cuts. You can just set the angle, cut them all out, and know that the bevels will all be consistent. Another favorite of mine is the bandsaw. Now, these things usually come with some big, chunky woodworking saw blades on them, and I recommend throwing those right out if you're gonna work with foam. They will rip the crap out of them. Instead, upgrade to a metal cutting blade with a higher tooth per inch count on them to make cleaner cuts on your foam, or get a soft materials blade like I've got here to make really, really smooth cuts in your foam. Again, the bandsaw has a tilting bed, so you can set your angle beforehand and know that all of the cuts will be made at that angle. The bandsaw also has a fence, which is awesome, especially if you have to make a bunch of cuts and you want them to be the same width. So, set your angle, put in your fence, and then just start cutting away at your foam, knowing that all of those cuts will both be the same width and have the same angled bevel. Now, once you dive into the world of power tools, you'll find that there are a ton of them out there, and I've bought almost all of them because I have no impulse control. Basically, any spinning, sanding tool can be used to make bevels on your foam. You can use a thin belt sander with an adjustable bed to get consistent angles on your foam, or you can just use a normal belt sander and sort of freehand it a bit. I'm also a huge fan of the disc sander. Again, it's got an adjustable bed, or you can just freehand it like some sort of boss. Finally, you can use something like an oscillating spindle sander to get some really cool interior bevels. This is just kind of like a rotary tool on steroids that's clamped down to a bed. Again, kind of a luxury, but when you really need it, it's super handy to have. Well, there you go, guys. A whole bunch of techniques and tools for you to learn how to make extremely clean, nice bevels on your foam. As always, all the tools and materials I've used for this video are linked in the description down below if you want to go grab some of those yourself and start expanding your foam smithing options. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to go subscribe. I'm cranking out more of these every single week. I have a whole bunch of other videos too, including last week's video on doing foam ridges. Definitely want to go check that out and some of the other older ones that I've got. Other than that, please let me know what sort of foam smithing techniques you guys are working on in the comments down below. I always go and make sure I read all of those. And until next time, get out there and start making some stuff. Yeah!